I'm not in a battle. I hate that language around cancer. And the number one thing that any man can do, period, end of story.
There's microplastics and there's chemicals in our food, and I believe that there's an intention to lower testosterone. These doctors all get together and they don't even agree. So if two educated doctors are arguing, well then, dude, you've got no chance. What's the supplement you can take to keep your prostate strong?
I went to Germany and got...
Are you older than me? How old are you?
Man. I'm 61.
Oh, dude, 61.
Yeah,
well, you still got a 6-pack. You said you had a 6-pack your whole entire life.
I've got an 8-pack actually, and yeah, pretty much. I think I was predisposed to be who I am today. Early in life, I realized I had a muscular physique, and it was just a matter of taking advantage of it and being consistent. And that's exactly what I've done.
Well, you know that I recently acquired a 6-pack. Although, you know, I've changed the diet temporarily just to pack on a little more.
And you look good, dude. When I walked in, I could see your shoulders right now and your arms. And I'm not kissing your ass because I've been here 4 times. So it's not like, you know what I mean? But you really do look different. And I understand you made some money because you and your boy Andy Elliott had a bet, didn't you? And you won like $50K off of it?
50 G-bones.
For real? He gave you $50,000.
He handed me $50,000.
Just to get 4 abs.
Well, he did it because he bet it, and he's a man of his word.
Well, yeah.
And he knew I'd probably put it all over social media if he didn't. But no, he paid for sure. And, you know, I almost felt bad taking it from him because he did me a favor.
He did. He absolutely did. He motivated you. He gave you a reason. He gave you a why that would make you cry, is what I tell my guys. But it was a why that really motivated you to do something that the last time I was here, you're like, I'm not sure how bad I want it. I don't want to get rid of my carrot cake, and I have my things that I enjoy. So you were justifying living a certain way, but you are living proof that regardless of age, regardless of how busy you are, because you're not a young guy and you're very busy all the time. You said, hey, one of my other companies, I have a meeting tonight, I forgot about team dinner. So these are excuses that men make that I think are just bullshit, in all honesty, because if you want it bad enough, if you have a reason that's strong enough, you can absolutely do it.
Every time. It's priorities is what it boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was justifying and rationalizing because I didn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
And people aren't like man enough to just say, look, I don't really care. When in reality, deep down, I think they do. But more importantly, like for me, I didn't really care because my life's so great anyway. I didn't think it would improve that much.
You already got a 35-year-old hot wife.
That's right.
A great business. And like you said, you can get or could get any girl you want at any time. But most guys aren't in
I didn't
position.
say that. Don't spread rumors.
You kind of did. I think you want to go back and check the tape.
I've never said that. Although
you could.
Growing up, I had my selection. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, that's a better way to put it. That's a more politically correct way of putting it.
But I didn't ever say I could get any girl I want because number one, like that's a little bit of an egotistical thing to think. Number two, I might like the one that doesn't like me.
True.
I mean, there's girls out there that have said that, you know, that I wasn't very attractive to them.
How could that be?
They didn't say it to me. They said it to others.
Okay.
So it must have been true.
Yeah. I don't know.
But, you know, sometimes you like a girl that just they're just not into you, you know?
And that's the one you want the most.
Dark hair, dark eyes. Some girls want like blonde haired, blue eyed guys. Some guys want black guys. Some guys want, you know, tall guys, 6'3" and above, and you just don't fit it. But
I certainly don't.
But I think if you have the ability to spit game and you have a good personality and you have a strong sense of humor, and most importantly, you have confidence so you don't really need them.
Yeah.
I think that's what attracts girls the most.
Yeah. And that's what you were saying before, is having strong game. And you got a strong game. You're a salesman. This is what you've done your entire life. You've sold something or yourself, and that's how you've acquired everything you have. But let's go back to the conversation about guys making excuses, because that's what most guys do. And that's the world that I live in with my coaching program. I deal every day with successful guys who rationalize their way into this what we're referring to now as a dad bod or something that they're not happy with. Because I promise you this, every single guy that listens to your podcast, this is my target ideal client, wants to look like you, wants to have what you have. That's why they listen to you and watch you. And they were rooting for you when Andy Elliott said, I'll give you $50K, bro, if you can get abs. And you're like, it's on. And that's all you needed to hear. So that's my job in life, is to try and find that button to push on a guy to get him to go, oh, I'm doing this. You know, I'm going to make this happen. So that's why I exist.
Well, you've done it plenty of times. You've seen lots of transformations. You're the catalyst for these men who need and want I would say the almost support, if you will.
That's 100% of what it is. It's support. Every guy wants to be edified and appreciated and heard and listened to. And that's what I do. I've created such a strong community in my program. That's really the catalyst for change. I'm the hook, because at 61, I look the way I look. And I've set a standard for guys, but the true catalyst for change that I've seen is the community that I've created of support, and guys reaching out to each other when one's struggling, or, you know, I'm really encouraged today, so I'm going to put out a message of encouragement, and guys latch onto that and they run with it. So that energy feeds each other, and it just continues to snowball.
And you seem to have a lot of guys that remain in your group.
Yeah. My time that a guy's in probably exceeds the average of 90 days. I think it is. The statistics say my guys, I have guys in my program for 5-6 years now.
Is that because,
still getting results.
Is that because you befriend them?
I love them. You know, they're truly brothers, and I appreciate the fact that they would have listened to me to begin with, and then I develop a relationship. And I think the gift that I have is the vulnerability. I tell the truth. I don't just sit here and say, hey, look at me, I'm this fit guy. I say, hey, I'm a guy that struggles every day in every aspect of my life, no differently than anyone else. And I'm very transparent with that, and guys appreciate that. So that makes me connect with them more and gives them the ability to, okay, this guy is just another dude. He just has dedicated his life to looking the way he looks. That's all. I don't know anything more than anyone else. I said this last time I was here. The guests that you have on here have so much knowledge that far exceeds anything I've ever possessed. But I think the gift that I have is human connection with people. Really, that is the thing that God created me for, or, you know, I don't want to get down that path, but the Creator made me to do is just really love other humans.
Well, last time you were here, I think, did we talk about your bad news?
Yeah, we did. I don't know did you ever drop that episode? Because Mitch, my son, who was here, he goes, I didn't see that one on there, because I think I hold the record. I'm here 4 times. I don't know if anyone's ever been here more than that, but I was looking for that. So I don't know if people know the whole story about, and I don't look at it as bad news either. So that's one thing that we'll talk about when we talk about it.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not good news. When someone tells you you've got cancer,
yeah,
that's kind of a gut-wrenching piece of news.
It can be, if you let it, and I didn't let it.
Yeah, you sure didn't. I was following you, man. You were walking around like freaking you were told that you had hemorrhoids.
Actually, you know, hemorrhoids are worse, man, because that's just, you feel the pain every day. With cancer, you don't feel anything. And that's the first thing I want to say is prostate cancer is asymptomatic, meaning you do not feel anything.
Is that guaranteed?
For the most part.
Okay, good. Then I don't have it.
Yeah. So, well,
because when I started having a little bit of a urination problem, you know, started to come out a little bit slower than normal.
Dripping, just blip,
not dripping,
blip.
But just, you could tell it was not free flowing.
Yeah.
You know, if you were sitting next to me in a stall, you would think I had a baby wiener.
You see, you said wiener, and you probably do have a baby wiener.
No. Thank God that's not the case. But it would sound like it if you were sitting next to me in a urinal.
Well, my son peed the other day, and he came out of the bathroom. He's like jealous because it was just like, I'm like, yeah, I am, because I sit down to pee. I'm not even afraid to say it. I sit down now.
Why?
Because it just takes so much time, bro. Last night it took me 5 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating, to pee at 2 a.m.
What's it coming out? Single file?
It's coming out a drip at a time. And to get it started is hard. And this is funny, right? But it's actually very serious because the guys that listen to your podcast need to get their PSA checked. And I brought you that shirt, Check It Like a Man. That's my nonprofit organization.
Check it like a man.
There you go.
How does a man check it?
PSA, blood work. That's the first step. So,
well, I get blood work every quarter.
Yeah.
For while I was doing the Andy Elliott thing, I was doing it every month. I wanted to see exactly what was changing. They were trying to get me to do, extracurricular activities, but I didn't.
Okay.
I got 3 bottles of Anavar sitting at the house,
just wait
that I didn't take. Yeah, and then I've also
good for you. I'm so proud of you, dude. You don't even understand how proud I am of you.
Then I also have these water pills.
Okay.
That I was supposed to take.
Yeah, some diuretics.
Yeah, and I read the thing, and it was like, don't take these and then like go somewhere where there's no water. Like, in other words, it is going to dry you out fast.
I lost the cover of Men's Fitness magazine because I took a diuretic before the shoot and I was cramping up on the street. The photographer drove by and saw me and he's like, "What are you doing to it?" I said, "I'm cramping. I can't stand up." And I went into the shoot. My eyes were sunken so far back into my head. I looked like a skeleton and I wasn't the picture of men's health, right? So I missed the opportunity because I listened to some idiot saying, "Yeah, take this and you'll get more shredded." I didn't need to get more shredded. I was already ripped enough to be on the cover, but I tried to take the extracurricular route, which a lot of guys are these days, and we can talk about that. But yeah, it's not a smart way to go at all.
Yeah, well, I didn't do it.
Good.
They prescribed it and were saying, "Go ahead. We're watching your blood. We'll test you every week or month." But I just don't like that shit. And I'm personally more for health over aesthetics. Like, in other words, I'd rather be fat and healthy than ripped and dying.
Yeah, and there's a lot of bodybuilders that are ripped and dying. We're seeing that more and more these days, but I would rather have both.
No, well, you can have both.
There you go.
You just again, I mean, the only thing I take is testosterone. Yeah. And I know you're not really for that.
I'm not against it. And that's one thing that's really important to point out is I'm not against it. I'm against men doing it before they do lifestyle intervention. I'm against men thinking it's the end all be all. I'm against men thinking that if their buddy did it and lost 10 pounds and started getting boners every morning and just banging away every day, that's going to happen to them too. It just doesn't work that way. So Tyler and I were talking on the way up here. He's, what are you, 30, Tyler? 27 years old. There are kids at 27 getting on TRT. 19, dude. He coaches. And
yeah, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
No, it doesn't mean it's bad. But if you're getting on this exogenous form of a hormone that your body can naturally and should naturally producing, or you mean you're going to be doing it all the way up until you're 55, 61 years old, sticking a needle? Come on, man. Have some freaking common sense. So even at the age of 50, when a guy starts getting convinced that it's time to get on TRT, it's time to get some patch, pellet, shot, or cream, no one wants to be on those things for the rest of their life. But they're taking shortcuts because the world has lowered the standard of what is possible. And that's what bothers me.
Well, it's not just that, dude, but there's microplastics and there's chemicals in our food. And I believe that there's an intention, a concerted effort to lower testosterone.
There is. And I was thinking about this because I knew we would talk about it. People ask me, what do you think the number one reason is that testosterone levels are lower today than they were when our grandfathers were?
Which is fact.
Which is fact. And the answer is life. It's not just the microplastics. It's life. It's the external endocrine disruptors. It's the internal endocrine disruptors. It's all of what we're exposed to emotionally and environmentally every single day of our life. Sitting in front of that computer, squinting, doing something, phone ringing, Maria coming over, "Hey, Clark's here, it's time." It's, "Oh, fuck, I told that guy he was coming today, damn it." It's just all of that energy that causes it to slow down. But my point is, a shot of testosterone is not going to change any of that. All of that will remain. So that might give you a bump for a minute, but eventually your body is very smart and it's the most adaptive organism on the known universe. It will adapt to that bump and level back out. And if you're not managing all of those stressors environmentally and emotionally and every other way that we have them in life, you will be the exact same way you were 4 months ago. And anyone that wants to argue that doesn't know what they're talking about. Doctor, freaking game day owner, any of these things. There's just an agenda to push this on people. And back to your point, I agree. We're trying to not make men men anymore, right? Well, you represent something strong. You represent a man.
Well, I'm just saying that sometimes if nature changes the levels of testosterone in a man, they can replace it. Like your body manufactures it. It should be there. It should be at a higher level. Yeah. It's just not. Well, then what's the harm in replacing it?
Nothing. But if you're not doing lifestyle intervention with it, then again, it's going to be what I just said. It's going to eventually level back out because you have to get rid of the body fat first. I believe that if I came to you, if you owned a clinic or if you were an endocrinologist and I was 50 pounds overweight and my testosterone was 220 or whatever below the average, and the average thing that's a crazy concept too, but I'm 220. Your responsibility to me, I believe, is say, okay, Clark, go lose 50 pounds and come back. Let's see how you feel then. And then we'll talk about how much or if we need to put you on it at all. Maybe there's something not as invasive that we can have you do. Maybe we just need to change your nutritional program or get you in a supportive community of men or get you in the gym working out, because the average guy is so damn busy trying to be Bradley or trying to accomplish things in life that he is not going to the gym. He's justifying it. He's justifying eating or not eating packaged foods that aren't food. They're manufactured crap. So that is my whole thing about this. Everyone thinks that I'm not a proponent of it. I am. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you my game plan for the future. I'm going to be talking this way until I'm 70, and I'm going to hold out as long as I can. Then when it's time for Clark Bartram to get on TRT, I'm selling out to the highest bidder. Whoever's paying me the most money to represent their brand, bro, I'm all in. I got a game plan here. Okay.
But by then, everyone will be on it.
No, I'm talking, well, everyone will be on it, but people will be continuing because there's more people coming up through the world. So there's always the next 23-year-old. My counselor once told me in marriage counseling. So,
well, I've heard a couple of misnomers about testosterone. Number one, if you're on it for a period of time, then you have to stay on it.
Yes.
So I was on it. I stopped cold turkey. Yeah. Everything was fine. My nuts grew back. Everything was fine.
Your baby wiener grew?
Yes.
Okay.
It never affected the dong. It affected the nuts.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, you just take HCG for that. And I'm like, see, I'm not getting into that cycle. Like, I don't
slope, man.
Personally, I don't care that they're a little smaller than normal because they were bigger than normal in the first place.
So you're averaged out.
Secondly, I've never heard of a girl ever complimenting the size of one's balls. I don't think that is a indicator of anything. Like, I've never heard a girl be, oh my God, the size of his balls was amazing. Like, I don't think that matters personally. Plus, I'm married and my wife doesn't give a rat's ass. Although, when I did get off of it and I came out of the shower one day, she goes, what in the hell? And I said, what? She goes, your balls are huge. I said, they're not huge. She said, yes, they are. No, they're normal. You've been seeing them. You've been testosterone, but everyone says, just take the HCG and it'll keep them, keep them where they're supposed to be, yada, yada, yada. But that's one more injection. Yeah. And then one more injection. And then one more to level out this and one more to level out that. It's like, nope, I'm good with test.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. So
I'm good with testosterone. Yeah. And if people ask me, because people do ask me, I don't know why, should I get on it? I say you should get a blood test and see what your levels are. Because if you're like levels are 900 plus, you don't need it. But if your levels are, 400, yes, I would get on it.
Well, that's not even the indication of whether or not you need it. Because I know guys with low testosterone that have no effects.
That was me.
Low testosterone.
That was me. When I got mine checked, I was 452 or something like that. and I felt great.
Yeah.
And when I took it, I still felt great. Like I didn't feel any better. I don't take it and feel better. I felt great before. I had no low T symptoms. I had no symptoms.
Yeah.
I took it because I think you need to be at 900.
Yeah. Well,
that's the way it was supposed to be.
that's what they're trying to convince
The
men.
environment and the crap and the evil bastards in the world that are making food with 1 million chemicals in it. That's why it's getting lower. So guess what? I'm going back to what I should have been.
What are you at right now?
Between 9 and 1100.
Yeah.
Every time I do, it's about 1120.
Okay. There you go.
One time I did it and it was like, it stopped counting. It had
Off the charts?
It had the thing and it said 15, I think it was 1550, but then it was the little symbol that said above.
Yeah. Greater than.
But the only thing I did was I started cold plunging, and I think that raises it.
So did Adam text you the other day from Plunge?
No, why?
He was supposed to text you.
About what?
About just checking. I said, check in on my man Brad Lee because, I got you that plunge. And do you want a sauna?
Yes.
I'm going to try and hook you up with a sauna. So Sunlighten, company that sent me out a sauna. Sunlighten, let's hook up Brad Lee with a sauna because he will. We're talking about it right now on Dropping Bombs, one of the biggest podcasts out there. But no, I just got one, bro. A 3-person one. So nice.
I like the way Plunges looks.
I'm getting a new plunge coming too.
No, not the plunge.
So
the plunge sauna.
Well, plunge might. Let's talk to Adam about that. But I got Sunlighten too. So plunge or Sunlighten, whoever wants to hook up Brad Lee with a sauna, hook him up. Go ahead and hook him up. Sunlighten or
hook me up, and I'll guaranteed get the word out. A bunch of people text me up, said they bought a plunge because of me.
I know they did. I sell a lot of those things. And
now I got my new crib. I need one of those jacked.
Okay.
Smith machines, the deluxe one.
Okay.
I was just going to go buy one the other day.
No. Okay. So listen, we got jacked up. All right. Don,
and
now let's hook him up.
And Don, not only that, I'll give Jacked all the credit. Cause I'm going to keep going.
Okay. So I'm going to get you a sauna. I'm going to get you a Jacked Up Fitness. Cause that one I have in my house is sick. Right. But let's get back to prostate cancer because we left people hanging with Clark's got cancer, and then
no
we all
pun
just
intended.
Yeah.
So the no symptoms thing. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that that's the truth because again, I started having like little issues. Well, it didn't help that I was doing 12 Zins a day.
Yeah.
Maybe 15. And 10 cups of coffee because I was intermittent fasting, and that's all you can drink is black coffee.
See, that'll swell your prostate up right there.
Yeah,
Plus, you got a 35-year-old wife and 1,100 testosterone, so you're busting nuts constantly.
Well,
so
that will do it. Yeah. And I lifted weights right before the thing.
What was your PSA?
Legs, 4.2.
Okay, that's just barely above the checking.
No,
stage.
I know, but it was like 0.9 the whole time, and it was never an issue.
Well, all of the caffeine and the sex and all of that is an indicator. So refrain from sex.
Could have been. It also could be cancer.
Well, don't speak that.
Dude, it's not me because God loves me. But 1 out of 4, not that God doesn't love you. But
God only loves Brad.
Yeah, he loves, if you got cancer, he doesn't love you. But in reality, 1 in like 4 guys get it, don't they?
1 in 7.
1 in 7, which means, dude.
1 in 6 black men.
Oh, so black guys get it even worse or more often?
Yeah.
Well, the good news is you don't die from it if you find it early and you handle it, which is why you started that whole campaign, because you never thought in a million years you'd get it. You were Mr. Healthy Bartram.
Dude, I was sitting in the parking lot of Crunch Fitness looking at my testosterone, getting ready to go online and brag about it because I don't do TRT. I'm 100% natty daddy is what they call me online.
What's your levels?
They were, when I was getting ready to jump on there and brag, it was 757 or 752 or something like that. But I'm looking at it and my concierge doctor says, yeah, that's great, but your PSA is 9.8. You better get to your urologist. So I went, and then I had
what was it, the test before though? It
was below. It was like 2 something.
So I got up
testosterone velocity. Yeah. It's called PSA velocity. So I go and get the dreaded DRE, digital rectal exam. We talked about that last time. And I even put it on social media. I laid my phone on the stool and I look over. If you go through my Instagram, you can see it. You can hear the doctor in there going, yeah, I feel something a little weird on the right side, but I'm not worried about it. So that was the next level. So I want guys to understand it's PSA. Then you go in, see your urologist. If it's elevated above,
that's how you check it like a man.
You check it like a man. The original
PSA is not checking it like a man.
Yeah,
checking it like a puss.
Was bend over and check it like a man, but that was a little bit too long. So then from there, we went and had the MRI, and then the MRI showed a suspicious lesion. And then from there, we had the...
Did you do a biopsy?
Biopsy, 12. Yeah, that was painful.
Yeah, but did you ever hear about biopsies?
Yeah, opening it up and you get sepsis and it's like popping a zit. Yeah, so, but in my case, it didn't. So that's really what I want to talk about is the way I handled it compared to the way I would say the majority of people do. Not that I'm special or unique, but I am fucking special and unique. So I'm just going to say it. I handled it differently. When the doctor, after the MRI, I was sitting on a Zoom call with him, he said, we found cancer. That was the words I heard. And I literally sat up and I'm like, let's go, let's do this. Because I knew based upon my platform and what I do, the guys that I serve, men over 40, all around the world, I'm the perfect guy to get this because now I am a messenger of go just get your PSA checked, check it like a man. And if there's an issue, deal with it. And the way I dealt with it was not within the standard of care traditional protocols. I did a little bit different style, and we can go into all that if you want. But right now, as I sit here today, my PSA went from the highest it got was 12.45. Last week, I was told not to get checked for 4 months after my last treatment. I did it within 1 week because that's what we do. I'm like, I got to know. I went in and I was 1.6. So I went from 12 point whatever to 1.6. So basically, as far as I'm concerned, I'm done. All of it's behind me, but now I have a mission.
But
now I have a purpose. I can't pee, but you know what? That'll get better over time because our body, like I said, is the most adaptive organism on the known universe. It's figuring out right now. Dude, I got bombarded with, I got hit with Pluvicto, which is a shot they give you after everything else fails. But I did that first because I have connections. I went to Germany and got it done. And then I had brachytherapy, which I got a funny story about that. I think I told you already.
Like what?
Brachytherapy, where they put pellets into your prostate. They go up through your perineum. And
that's why they call it brachy, because they break into your butt.
Brachy into your butt. Mm-hmm. And then I had 5 weeks of external beam radiation, which I just finished. So beam.
Oh,
no, the beans were already put in there with the brachytherapy. So right now I'm done with all of my treatment. I was going to go to Australia and get another treatment there just to kind of do a final sweep through. But I talked to this doctor the other day. We did a Zoom call. He's like, you don't need it, dude. You're good. So what I did, speaking of testosterone.
My only thing would be, Clark, how do you know what worked though? You shouldn't have done all that shit. You should have done one to see what works.
Well, I did. But
which one worked?
So it doesn't matter which one worked because it's...
Yeah, it does.
So no. Because it's not one thing that causes anything, and it's not one thing that fixes anything.
You don't know that because you tried it all.
So let's say a guy, his testosterone is 200. It's not just because he turned 50. So if you go from 49 to 50, doesn't mean your testosterone is automatically going to drop. It's lifestyle. It's everything included. So the question is, why did Clark Bartram, the fittest guy around at 61, get cancer? You shouldn't have got it. You do everything right. I'm worried now because if you got it, I can get it. Well, the reality is cancer is no respecter of persons. If you're going to get it, you're going to get it. And it's like, okay, I'm the guy. I got it. So I chose to shift my mindset from, oh, I got it. Why? Like, let's go, let's do this. I'm now on a mission. And I've created so much. I'm doing a documentary. I've recorded everything possible in this journey. I'm writing a comic book about it. I got a badass comic book. I sent you some of the pages of it. I'm going to go visit kids in cancer hospitals. Like, this is really giving me a new, renewed purpose. But it's the entire lifestyle that causes a guy's testosterone to go low, and it's an entire lifestyle which will cause it to go up. So it's an entire lifestyle that got me to where I'm at today, and it's an entire process of this treatment, and this treatment that got me, we'll call it healed or a free and clear message of Clark, you're fine now to move forward in your life. Because mine had spread out of mine. I had micrometastases. It was in my lymph nodes and also in my pelvic area. So they had to do systemic treatment, and I refused the systemic treatment. And the systemic treatment they wanted to give me was Lupron, and that is chemical castration. In 1941, they started cutting guys' nuts off because they believed that testosterone fed prostate cancer. They believed that testosterone caused prostate cancer, but there's so much evidence to prove that that's not the case. So there's a lot of fear-based reactions to that, and that's one of them that I refused. When my doctor said, okay, we're going to put you on Lupron, I literally said, fuck you. I put my finger right in his nose and said, fuck you. No. And he dropped his head and he said, I knew you were going to say that. What are you going to do, Clark, to treat this systemically? Because we can treat it locally with these seeds. We can treat it locally with radiation externally, but what are you going to do systemically throughout your body? Because we believe, based upon this 1941 study, that testosterone feeds it. So what we got to do based upon the standard of care model is cut it out and put you to zero and put you in menopause and have you have no sex drive and all of the things that go with no testosterone. And I said, no, Clark Bartram is not that guy. So I took a different route, which gave me my quality of life. That's all that matters. When you're going through treatment, you have to consider your quality of life before anything else, period. Because if I die tomorrow, that's fine. It's fine. I enjoyed my life all the way up till tomorrow. I'm not sitting around in having hot flashes. Imagine if I was sitting here right now, I start sweating on you. You're like, what's wrong with you, bro? I'm having a hot flash. From what? You're a dude. You're not supposed to have hot flashes.
Well, they say it's curable anyway.
It is. Well, a lot of guys.
But that's how they cure it?
Well, yeah, they have guys, they get them off they shut their testosterone down to zero. And guys, it's barbaric. Doctors don't want to take testosterone away from men because that's what makes us men. That's why these clinics are popping up. That's why we had the conversation we did earlier, because testosterone is what makes us men, right? And that's why these clinics are popping up.
Well, I thought it was the wiener that does.
Well, that's part of it. Baby wiener or not, you know what I mean?
Because women can take testosterone, it doesn't make them men.
No, it's actually the ball size. It's the amount of testosterone, right? Because women need testosterone too. Men need estrogen. We all need all the hormones, but in the right proportions and in the right balance. So if you take me from testosterone here and estrogen here to this, that's what a man does when he transitions. They give him Lupron, but he's got to go through 2 years of counseling with a psychologist to guarantee that that's what he wants to do. When Clark Bartram, who's been diagnosed with prostate cancer, in 2 minutes sitting with the doctor has to make a choice. Are you going to get your testosterone to zero? No, I'm not. And everybody thought I was crazy. My wife cried. My son was worried. My daughter was worried. But I said, I got this. I know people. I'm going to be educated. I'm going to take my time. Here's what I learned. One of the biggest lessons I learned in this is 95% of men, when given this diagnosis, move too fast. They react too quickly. They go get surgery and they cut it out. Now they're incontinent in many cases and can't get a boner. Come on, who wants to live the rest of your life like that? That's not quality of life, right? Do you want to piss your pants and not get a hard dick for the rest of your life? There you go. So
for people that did see me shake my head, no. That was no.
He said, hell no, absolutely not. Look, I'm very passionate about this, obviously. Because
my wife would prefer it.
She would prefer it, yeah. Honey, did you pee the bed again? Damn it. And you woke up.
Well, is it guaranteed?
It's not guaranteed. No, it's not guaranteed at all. But you going in there and you're cutting around nerves, whether it's the Da Vinci robotic way, it doesn't matter. You're still cutting around nerves that are responsible to give erections and make you continent. So that would be the last thing that I would do is surgery.
Well, when do you decide? Like when you're dying?
No, you decide when you've educated yourself enough to understand what's the best course of action for you individually to maintain your quality of life now and in the future.
There's doctors listening to this show saying, Clark, you are being massively irresponsible.
Oh my God, dude. Doctor, you're being massively irresponsible because, so here's the problem. doctors are not bad. I'm not saying doctors are bad, but if you're my urologist and you're saying, Clark, we found cancer, and you're the surgeon, what are you going to recommend to me?
Let's cut it out.
You're going to, yeah, because that's what you do. And you believe, based upon your education, your experience, your passion for what you do, not for any nefarious reason, because I'm the best. I'm the Brad Lee of fucking urology, and I can cut that shit out better than anybody. Watch, your dick's going to get harder when I'm done. You're never going to piss your pants. And you can convince me, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be the reality. So if my course of treatment isn't best with surgery, then you have not done your responsibility as my trusted advisor.
So when you had it, dude, were you able to pee normal?
Yeah. I would have.
Okay, so that's the only thing that gives me hope. Because not only did I do all those things, but we rationalize and we do confirmation bias. Like, ejaculation makes it go up. Oh, okay, that must be what it was. Yeah. When in reality, no, I could go get another test tomorrow and find out it's 12. And if that's the case, well, now I better get to a urologist. And they go do the same thing as you did. Because guess what? 1 in 6, 1 in 7. Like, that's a lot of us.
Yeah.
Will get it.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm hoping it was the nut and the weightlifting and everything else, but it also could just be prostatitis.
Could be prostatitis.
Where you go get a little,
BPH.
you go get a little Bactrim, you get on antibiotics for a month and everything's fine. Yeah. So how do you know no?
You do more investigation than that doctor telling you you need to do this, because there's no one size fits all model. So that's why I'm not being irresponsible. I'm being very responsible by telling men, go get a second and a third opinion, educate yourself, because it could be an infection. It could be the fact that you just had an orgasm. The amount of guys that have called me scared, and I said, dude, when was the last time you busted a nut? Well, the day before I went in, and your doctor didn't even bring that up to you. Come on. And it's not that the doctor's
or
doing
lift weights or ride a bike,
all of that, man, or stress or too much coffee. There's so many different things. Or maybe the moon was in the wrong freaking place. Who knows why? You go back and get checked again, because to your point, you're not going to die, at least not right away. You have time to handle this. In the amount of education that we're getting around this and the amount of technology that's coming out, since I was diagnosed almost 2 years ago, the advances in this medicine have quadrupled.
What about stem cells? Do they do anything with that?
So I have a guy on my Zoom call tomorrow with my coaching guys in my program, MaximizeManElite.com. I have a stem cell guy on. He owns 9 clinics. And when I met him at a wrestling tournament a couple of weeks ago, I said, do stem cells affect me with cancer? He's like, absolutely not. This is what people believe. So I'm going to educate myself tomorrow on what the positive or negative effects would be on stem cells, because I avoided them. I could have got them for free. I got a buddy that owns a clinic in Mexico. Come on down anytime. We'll, just put it on your social media. So I'd in my face.
But see, I'd do that before I did whatever you called it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if stem cells will cure.
Well, I would have tried.
Well, I did a lot of stuff. I hired an expensive guy in Scottsdale. I did all sorts of things. I did several different treatment protocols. I was gargling with 4 different mouthwashes a day.
See, how do you know that that's not what did it?
Well, I don't care what did it. I would like to know. So here's what I do know about the standard of care model. When I was talking to the guy in Australia, the number one thing you hear from doctors is, we don't have the data to support it. Okay. We don't have the data. And I can appreciate that. And my question is, how are you going to get the data if you keep doing the same thing over and over again? Nothing is ever going to change.
Well, not all doctors do that.
Well, not all doctors do it, but the most of them will. That's why they call it standard of care. It fits within the box, and everyone's, well, we have the evidence in I'm comfortable doing this and it works. But if nobody does anything different, then how are we going to know what will work? So I was willing to do a different protocol. So I'd mentioned Pluvicto. Pluvicto is a treatment they give you. It's a radiopharmaceutical that they inject in your veins. It's a 15-minute infusion. It's not chemo, but it's similar. But what it does is that it's connected to the radioactive agent that goes through your body that attaches itself to cancer. right? That's how it lights up in an MRI. There's this radioactive material. So what they do is they put the medicine in that radioactive material. Now it jumps on the cancer like a piggyback and can just eat it up like a Pac-Man. So wherever there's cancer in your body, the Pluvicto or similar types of radiopharmaceuticals will go in and do that. So I did that first. In the US, you have to do that after you failed everything else.
Where do you fly to do that?
I went to Germany. And
so if a buddy of yours got it, would you recommend that?
No, because there are better radiopharmaceuticals out. To my point earlier about medicine has gotten better. There's a medicine called terbium. I think it's 166. It's Pluvicto 177. So terbium is something that many people believe is a better one that is a little bit more precise, because cancer cells hide behind other cancer cells. So this might be the main one that gets attacked, but because this one's in proximity to it, it might be affected, but not be touched by the medicine. So apparently this terbium is a little bit more effective in getting all of that. So that was what I was going to do in the end, and kind of sweep everything up systemically. But my doctor said, dude, you went from 12 to 1.9. You don't need it. Don't do anymore. I'm like, okay. So I started thinking, I want to have some medical equity, right? Some stuff left in the bank that I could do later if I come back in a year and they say, oh, you're back up to 12. Now I can go get that terbium or whatever the new thing is.
Why wouldn't you just go parasite cleanse?
I went and had parasites checked. I was fine. I did all that.
Checked and cleansed are two different things.
No, I got checked. I got cleansed. I did it all. I went to a guy
How do you know that?
Scottsdale, Arizona. It just didn't do it. It didn't help. I stayed at the same. I can check my PSA free every day because I have a buddy that owns a clinic. Shout out to Bart Pichula. And I would go there and my numbers would stay the same. They would go up and down a little bit, but that's pretty normal. Like your testosterone will go up and down a little bit. It ebbs and flows. Everything does. So I didn't see any enough change. And then when I went and did a clinical study in Miami for a new radioisotope, a copper-based radioisotope for an MRI, that's when they found the micrometastases, because the earlier isotope that wasn't in a clinical study, that was in the standard of care, didn't pick up the fact that it had traveled outside my prostate. So now they see this evidence that was probably already there because there was a new medicine that I was able to get there and do. I flew to Miami, had it done. They're like, okay, there's something more here. We have to treat this differently than what you would have. And here's another thing too, is when a guy gets diagnosed, they get hit with the fire hose of anecdotal treatments. My brother's cousin did coffee enemas. You remember the gal you told me about, the lady boss, that she was doing all that stuff, and we watched her die right in front of us, basically on social media. We saw her kind of
quickly too.
Yeah, it was fast. So I was inquisitive enough and curious enough to see how I could handle this without doing all of this very invasive stuff like surgery and hormone deprivation therapy and radiation. But I ended up getting 2-3 types of radiation. That's the way I chose to approach this. And my only negative side effect is having an issue peeing, which I've already shifted in my mindset. Like, I'm okay with this. If this is what I have to deal with because of what I did and I am now cancer free, I'm okay with it. But I know that I'm going to get better. It's going to go back to normal.
Yeah.
Because I have days where it's really good. Last week I was peeing like crazy. Like, oh, this feels good. You don't understand. Like, don't take peeing for granted, guys, because when you pee good, it's such a fucking beautiful feeling. But if you pee good every day, you don't realize how efficient your body is. But the minute you can't, bro, and you're sitting there, Mitch, my son, you met him. He's like, dude, are you having a hard time peeing again? I heard you groaning in the bathroom last night. And I was. If he didn't know I have prostate cancer, he would have been convinced I was in there jerking off, because it was like, it hurts.
Yeah, it's like you got to pee, but you can't.
You got to pee, but you can't. And then the idea of thinking, okay, I'm going to have to go get a catheter now, and I got a baby wiener, and the nurse is going to have to look at it, and I'm fucking embarrassed by it. Come on, man. No one wants to do that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be cool.
Who's the only person who get Brad Lee speechless? And he's like, how do I respond to that comment? But, you know, it's important, as much fun as we're having with this and as lighthearted as I am about this, it's very important that guys right now today that are listening to you, that are the guys that could end up potentially hearing the same thing I heard, just go out and get checked. And when your doctor says, well, PSA is not on your blood check, say, no, it is. Why? Because I said so. Period. End of story. Doctors that think I'm being irresponsible, you work for me. Let's make that very clear. I'm in charge. I run this fucking show. You might have the degrees and all that shit up there, but I'm the one that has to live my life, because the minute I leave, you're going to have somebody else in there saying the same thing over and over again, because familiarity breeds contempt. You can only do so much in 7 minutes with somebody. Like the world that we live in, and that's a whole different thing, isn't friendly to the specific needs of you compared to me, compared to Tyler, compared to everybody else in this office. We're all different, man.
We all are different. And that's the key.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I would recommend, if anybody listening to this has it, you just got the bad news, I would, number one, find a functional medicine doctor that doesn't do standard of care. They do above standard of care.
Yep.
They take a stool sample, a urine sample,
a blood sample,
and a saliva sample, because there's all kinds of things that your blood can say.
Semen sample.
I didn't know about that, but there's definitely there's things that your blood can say that don't really mean what you think it means. First of all, like there's a range. That range is based on an average. So it's like in the United States, we are a sick group of people.
I don't want to be compared to the average guy.
But that's what it is. Like you say, oh, I'm within range. That doesn't mean it's good.
No.
And I'm out of range. That doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
Like who really knows? They're saying now cholesterol being high is actually good.
Yep.
Where in the past they'd tell you to get on pills for it. When in reality, now they're going, oh, well, that's not true. It's actually good. So it's like, well, which one is it? High cholesterol, low cholesterol. What am I supposed to have? What am I supposed to have? And dude, these doctors all get together and they don't even agree. That's the funniest thing. They don't even agree. Okay, so if two educated doctors are arguing, well then, dude, you've got no chance. So you know what you do? You pray. And by the way, I think your mindset has a lot to do with it. I do honestly believe you can heal with your mind.
Your mind is the single most important factor in all of this. And that's the thing that I did differently than most people. Is
maybe that did it.
There we go. Boom. It did do it. I'm going to tell you right now, this is where people are going to figure, oh, Clark really told me your mindset did it. Absolutely 100% beyond a shadow of any doubt. My mindset is the key to my entire life. So when I was going to radiation, everyone started to tell me, you're going to feel tired. You're going to feel sick. You're going to feel lazy. You're going to feel like you don't want to go to the gym. And I said, no, I'm not. Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear it. And whether it was their job or not to tell me that is beside the point. So I decided at that point, I'm going to shift my mindset even further than I already have and turn this into something that is going to serve me and serve other people. So that's when I came up with the idea for the comic book. So I wrote a comic book called The Beacon, and it is me getting these radioactive pellets put into me. And I thought, okay, how can I turn that into a comic type of origin story? So I related it back to the ancient Egyptians, and they had these radioactive pellets that they put into their body, and that's what helped them build the pyramids. That's where all of this strength, intelligence, and compassion came from. So when I started thinking about it, I'm like, wow, strength, intelligence, and compassion, that's an acronym that spells sick. SIC. So little Johnny, little Sally, if anyone tells you you're sick, say, yeah, I am, but shift it to strength, intelligence, and compassion, because your treatment, your radioactive exposure, like Spider-Man got bit by a radioactive spider and the Hulk was in a radioactive, fallout. Your radioactive or your treatment gave you a superpower to be different. Yeah, your hair falling out. Yeah, that makes you strong. We have to shift our mindset and that's why I don't talk about it. I'm not in a battle. I hate that language around cancer. I never even say I have cancer. I say I was given a diagnosis of what? Some rogue cells. Some rogue cells went kind of crazy. What do you mean? So I'll finally say, I fucking got prostate cancer, dude. And then, oh my God, stop. Don't feel bad for me. I don't feel bad for me. So why are you going to feel bad for me? Please. Now you're putting negative energy on yourself. So yeah, man, the mindset is the key to all of this. And I really want people to understand that. And the mindset is the key to getting fit. That's why my 5 principles, mindset, meals, movement, community, and integrity, are the cornerstone of my program, Maximize Man Elite. Another thing I did with this diagnosis, I created a program called Prostate Power. Me and my buddy Funk Roberts up in Canada have that. I got guys joining all over for that. And the number one thing that any man can do, period, end of story, is exercise oncology. Get your ass in shape, period. Because if you choose surgery for your option, which is totally fine, you're going to be better off if you're in shape. If you choose radiation, you're going to be better off if you're in shape, so on and so forth. That is the bottom line. So my job, based upon my gift and my calling and my purpose in life, is to help men be the best that they can be, man.
Program, once again,
MaximizeManElite.com is my coaching program. I have Prostate Power is another program that I have.
What's the supplement you can take to keep your prostate strong?
So I'm actually creating one right now. I have a hair supplement. I'm creating a Prostate Power. There are several ones out there. There's one that I promote on TikTok. That's a whole nother podcast we need to do, is TikTok. But there are several out there. The one that I'm promoting is called Prostate Health by a company called Snap. And it's really good. It's got all the usual suspects in there that help reduce inflammation, because that's the bottom line. If you have prostatitis or BPH or even, prostate cancer, it's based in inflammation. So the number one thing we can do is get inflammation down. If our eyes are puffy, it's inflammation. If our
best way to do that
is inflammation. Pardon me?
Best way to do that?
Manage your stress first and foremost.
And diet.
And yeah, nutrition. It's my 5 principles. My 5 principles apply to everything. Mindset, meals, movement, community, and integrity. So go back to testosterone building. All of our testosterone during the time we've been here has gone up. Period. End of story. Case closed. Anyone says I'm wrong, you're stupid. Because if women's menstrual cycles sync up, why would men's testosterone not sync up? And us talking like we're talking right now, me looking at Brad, Lee all buff and shit right now, my testosterone is going up. If you measured me from
as close as your dick is it?
Yeah, my baby wiener is just staying the same. Damn it. Put me on blast.
Oh, boy. Everybody's like, dude, Brad Lee's podcasts were getting good. Now he's going back to his old bullshit.
Yeah.
Talking about wieners.
Here. Look, this is going to be the best episode, and this needs to go in front of everybody else, because honestly, the message here is vital for men right now. Men need to get in shape. Men need high testosterone, whether they choose to go to a clinic or not. I'm not against that. Men need to understand that they need to check it like a man. Men need to understand that they need to take their health in control, that they're in charge of their doctors. Men need to understand we need to be good husbands. And the way we can be a good husband is by being a strong man. A strong man is a compassionate man. A strong man is a loving man and a patient man. A strong man makes money. A strong man drives 4 hours to Vegas to do a podcast and drive right back home. That's what we do. Drop a bomb for that shit right there. Let's go.
Folks, there you go. Clark Bartram. If you guys want to get in shape, if you have any issues, you want to talk more about it, you can follow him at Clark Bartram. And you can go join his group, his coaching group, or his fitness stuff at
MaximizedManElite.com.
Maximized.
Yes.
With a D.
Yes.
MaximizedManElite.com. Whatever you guys do, just make sure you make 2025 your best year ever. Outdo the day before. Always choose heavenly energy and always keep it real.